Hi, I'm Dennis Thomas, president of Brechbuhler Scales. Today I'm talking to Darrell Martin, president of ICS. And we're going to learn a little bit about what ICS does and the relationship they have with Brechbuhler Scales. So, Darrell, how you doing?
I'm doing great. The sun's shining. It's a beautiful day.
All right, good. Before we get started, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to our channel, please. Let's go from the beginning. Okay, so you have a unique history. Let's start. How did you even get involved with metrology? Tell me about your background and what's led up to today.
Sure. It was a combination of hard work and luck. I would say 100%. Ever since I was a young kid, I was interested in electronics, fascinated by it. I would see a ham radio operator down the street from me, and he had a pile of electronics sitting on the ground. Always wondered what that was. So that got me started.
Okay.
My brother Danny, he saw my interest, and he started buying me electronics kits, these kits, and I went from there. During high school, I got into industrial electronics school for 2 years and decided to join the Marine Corps.
Nice.
So I went in the Marine Corps, open-ended ground electronics, and I had no idea what I was going to do. But the drill instructor told me I was going to be turning light bulbs. So I was a little bit worried about it. I went to basic electronics school out in California. I aced that school because of my background. And I asked all the instructors, what would you do if you had your choice of careers? Because I did at that time. And they all said they would go into calibration. I had no idea what it was. But if everybody said that's what they were going to do, I said, well, that sounds good to me. And on top of that, I got to go to Albany, Georgia for my first advanced school. It was awesome.
Great. So thank you for your service, number one. The two, let's jump into what that led to. So you get out of the Marines and then what happens?
I got out of the Marine Corps. I started working for a company called Edwin Instrument Laboratories in Dayton, Ohio. And when I showed up there, I think I was really prepared for the outside world. I knew I wanted to go out and make a career out of calibration. I was good at what I did, and I found out along the way that I had a really good presence with the customer. I'm very passionate about what I do, and that showed through to the customer. And so they were kind of drawn to wanting me to be there to do the work. I really took to the commercial side of calibration when I got out of the Marine Corps.
Let's hang on that point for a minute. How do you think the Marine Corps shaped you and then ultimately shaped your business?
Well, it shaped me both physically and mentally. I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. The first 4 years were a lot of schools. So there was like I mentioned, there was the basic electronics school. Then there was a school in Georgia it was for repairing electronics down to component level.
Okay.
And I spent most of the year down there at that school. I went out into the fleet, and the Marine Corps' philosophy was they kind of threw you into the fire. You had to actually do the work. And you were on a production team where you were repairing electronics before it went to the calibration lab. So that was a really good dynamic. It really taught us to calibrate the machinery while we were repairing it. And we were not allowed to send a piece of equipment up to the calibration lab unless it was going to pass calibration. Wow. So it was a really good working model on how to train technicians. After 4 years, I went to Desert Storm, and I served in Saudi Arabia for Desert Storm. When I got back, I was born again hard, and they gave me an opportunity to go to advanced metrology school at Lowry Air Force Base in Colorado, where I learned advanced metrology.
And then we get into you starting ICS. So tell me about what is ICS? What do you guys do?
Instrument Calibration Solutions. I know that the name says everything. So my business partner, Dave, and I, we had previously met at my first job at Edwin Instrument Laboratories in Dayton, Ohio. And I had recognized that Dave was one of those outstanding guys. You know, he was really looked up to by his peers. He was intelligent.
Yeah.
He got stuff done.
Not just beer drinking.
Yeah, not just beer drinking and bowling. I really admired Dave. And at that time, we weren't very close compadres. We didn't go on jobs together. But when you see somebody who really has that spirit and that drive and that focus, that was Dave, and it really stuck with me through the years. When I left that company, I went to work for another company, but I always kept that in the back of my mind, you know, good people that you work with. I continued to hone my craft, both with the technical side of things and with customers. Got to a point in my career where I thought, well, it's a good time to start my own business back home in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so at that time, we had a mutual friend that brought us back together. Dave at that time was living in Pittsburgh, and he was thinking about the same thing. He was thinking about changing careers and actually starting a business. We got together at a Red Lobster, and we started a company on a nap.
And fast forward, you have a random call or email from someone at Brechbuhler Scales and show up at your door. I think from my perspective, I found an immediate match with culture and what you guys do there. What did you think when Brechbuhler approached you?
I really didn't know what to think, Dennis. We had other companies court us there for a while, and at that time in the company's time frame, ICS was doing very well. We really started to hit the ground running, both financially and with our customer base, and so times are really good. The one thing we were missing were the management skills on how do we grow this, how do we get bigger, how do we keep employees happy. And to be honest with you, it was Dave's idea to meet with you and to start that ball rolling. And I wasn't hesitant about it. I'm not afraid of anything. So I said, hey, let's explore this. Let's see what it's about. And I think after I met you, I realized that we had found another company that really had the same values that we had.
Yeah.
And really operated so closely to the way that we operated. And what really meant most to us, that there was a fit.
Good. Yeah. Great fit. And it's been a pleasure working with you so far and look forward to many more years. Want to go back to the ICS. What is it about that what you guys do or we do that's different?
I think it boils down to passion.
Yeah.
We are very, very passionate about what we do. From our background in the Marine Corps, when we were doing calibration, everything was life and death situation. So we had no idea what that equipment was going to be used for on the other end, but we knew it had to be right because people's lives were depending on it. We took that same passion and all the knowledge that we had over the years and founded ICS. And as you could tell, ICS logo is Marine Corps colors because the heritage there. There's our heritage.
Sure.
So to this day, we're very passionate about doing things correctly.
Good. And so to give some context, in 2021, Brechbuhler Scales started the joint venture with ICS. And at the time, how many employees would you say you had?
We had between 9 and 11 employees. It's really obscure at this point because our growth has been so rapid. I'd have to dig deep and think about and count on my fingers how many employees we had.
At a great lab, you still have a great lab in Aliquippa, and we just finished a new lab around the Dayton, Ohio area, and we're up to how many employees?
We're pushing 28, 29 employees at this point.
So it's quite a lot of growth. It's been exciting. There's definitely been some challenges, but the future looks bright. What are some of the capabilities that ICS has that maybe people don't know about?
I would say some of the capabilities that we have that make us special is, as we all know, solutions is in the name. And one of the things that we do that is above and beyond a lot of other companies is we don't just calibrate equipment and put a sticker on it. And we don't just engage with customers for what we feel comfortable with doing to make a buck. We actually be engaged with a customer and build relationships to find solutions to make them a better company. So it's truly a partnership with our customers. I would say to boil it down and find that uniqueness, it's the relationships that we build with our customers. It's such a solid foundation, and we found that it's really made us, I would have to say, recession-proof. It's kind of cool.
That's great. That's great. And so you made mention that you went to advanced metrology school, and I got a suspicion that that's vision systems.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't?
No.
Okay. So where did you learn about the optical and vision systems? I'm gonna go there first.
It was a company, Certified Comparator Products, out of Beaver Creek, Ohio. So I kind of hit a glass ceiling with that company. I was a road warrior, meaning I was on the road all the time working with customers directly.
Yeah.
And financially, I had just got married, had a kid, and I was cash strapped.
Oh, yeah.
So I was looking for another job that I had an opportunity with. And lo and behold, Certified Comparator Products was looking for a technician.
Okay.
In optical metrology, and it's a field that I had no clue about. But I wasn't worried about that. I knew that my solid foundation in metrology and calibration, I could learn it pretty much anything in the physics field and apply that to the new job. And my wife believed in me, so I quit my job and started a new career.
That's great. So for those of us maybe listening that we have no idea what an optical or vision system would be, what is it that it does? What's unique about it? And can you speak to it a little bit?
Well, optical metrology it's a way of measuring parts through a non-contact method. So a lot of what we see every day, there's a physical touch to measuring parts. So you have micrometers, calipers, you have weighing scales, you have probing systems. So all these other ways of measuring parts, but a non-contact method both allows us to measure parts quickly, accurately. I would say both. There's more to it than that. So we can measure parts fast, accurately, and without deformation of the parts themselves. So a lot of these parts they could be thin metals, they could be plastics, where they are, I should say, they're subject to deformation when you probe them physically.
Right.
But when it's non-contact, there's no touch involved.
Right. And so you find this in maybe higher end manufacturing, small components, parts. And that's exciting because I think a lot of that's coming back to the United States and there's a lot of upside there. And so then a year ago, we acquired Inspection Technologies. So do you want to talk about that a little bit, what that allows us to do?
Absolutely. Optical metrology has been a big passion of mine. Ever since I left certified comparator products, I developed a real passion for this type of calibration. It's very dynamic. It includes both dimensional metrology, electromechanical, as well as high-end computer programming, all into one system. And in addition to the optics themselves, obviously. I worked with this company that worked in Ohio. They were an OGP rep.
Okay.
And OGP was truly the pioneer in non-contact metrology. They developed the first systems that were able to look at a part and by using computers actually measure the part by finding the edge of the components, being able to focus on the surface and find a Z height. So it's a three-dimensional world that was created by OGP.
Yeah, and they're the big player on the block.
They are. I would say OGP has been the biggest innovator in optical metrology and multi-sensor systems now. I would say truly multi-sensor systems.
Yeah. Couple updates. You recently completed a remodel in the Aliquippa lab. What's that going to allow us to do?
One thing it allows us to do is put a showroom for optical gauging products. So we're now able to, instead of taking equipment to the customer to demo it, these things are pretty heavy. So now we can invite our customers to our lab and show them how this equipment works and demo it right at our facility. So it's a win-win for us and it's a win-win for the customer.
Talk to me about why should I choose ICS? I know it's a wide open question. It's all why ICS, but if I'm a customer, Darrell walks in, why am I buying Darrell?
That's a good question. I would have to say the one thing I always tell new customers or people that I meet for the first time where if there's an opportunity to build a relationship with a customer is we're not the cheapest and we're not the most expensive, but we are the best. And what makes us the best is the relationship we build with you. We actually partner with our customers to make their life easier. So what we hear a lot of is companies are doing their own calibration because they think it's a cost saving. They finally realize that it's not cost saving because they have to pay someone's salary, they have to maintain calibration equipment, and so now they're outsourcing this work. But what they're finding is they're finding companies that are doing this work that they're out to make a buck. I mean, it's an exchange of money. But when they work with ICS, they really find a company that builds a relationship with them and bends over backwards to ensure, one, their calibrations are done right, but two, that we're going to take care of them no matter what their needs are. So whether it be quality documentation, time frames, meaning specific time frames for the customer, or pickup and delivery. In addition, one thing we do really well is we do repair work on the equipment. So we don't just send it back and say, hey, this is bad, it's junk. But we can repair a lot of this equipment as well, which is a dying skill. And we could also replace it if the customer is looking for replacement equipment.
Great. What type of industries would I find Instrument Calibration Solutions?
Everything.
Everything?
You name it. Metrology touches everybody's life, and we don't realize it. From the vehicles that we drive, the pharmaceuticals that people have to take on a daily basis to stay alive, stay healthy, aerospace, the nuclear industry, power generation, oil industry. Everybody needs to have their equipment calibrated for 3 reasons. One is for safety reasons. It's important to have metrology to ensure that measurements are correct, so we don't have a catastrophic failure or an accident. Another big reason is for quality control. So we have these companies that are manufacturing very complex, very accurate parts. By getting their equipment calibrated properly, they're reducing their scrap rates, which saves them money, but also makes their parts reproducible and interchangeable with other companies. So you have an auto manufacturer, they're not producing all those parts on site, but they really have to fit together to make that car last a long time and to keep the driver safe.
Makes sense.
So that's a really good example.
Yeah. So you guys run pretty hard, right? You're on the road quite a bit, and all the employees are really some long days. But one thing I noticed when we started working together, you work hard, but you play hard too. And you do special things for employees. You want to talk about some of that, some of the things you maybe done over the years?
Well, we've taken employees on ball games, and yeah. Are you talking about myself, or are you talking about what we do with employees?
With employees. With employees.
You know I'm a crazy creature.
Yes. So. You can talk about some of that too. I find it fascinating.
No, I find it hard to sit still. So anyways, so with our employees, we really care about our employees, and that's another unique thing about ICS. None of our employees are a number. And when Dave and I founded the company, that was another thing that was really on our minds was we were technicians our entire life, Dennis. And we know what it's like to be out there on the road and to be a road warrior. We passionately care about our employees too. Those on the management side, but mostly the technicians. It's really something we care about. We've gone on baseball games together. We have occasional cookouts. We have ICS days. And we talk to our employees to find out what really interests them. I know that one of the big events that we had was we went to a racetrack for go-karts. That was a really good time.
Yeah. Nobody competitive there, I'm sure.
Everybody's...
Oh, that's good. Throughout your career, let's call it, whether through the Marines or your early days in metrology or running ICS, what are some of the leadership lessons you've learned? Some good takeaways.
But most recent leadership lessons were learned through working with Brechbuhler. Being a former Marine, I was really hard on employees. I expected a lot out of them because I wanted them to have the same work ethic and work as hard as me and to get everything correct. Leadership lessons, what I've learned from working with Brechbuhler was, 1, to be patient, 2, to listen. I think those are biggest things, patience and listening to employees. I've really taken a step back in my leadership approach. I'm allowing my employees to grow by doing that.
The side comment, Darrell briefly hinted on some of the things you do outside of work, but rock climbing, you're an outdoorsman, right?
I was always very active, and I still am. I was big into marathon running for a number of years, and then I got into trail running, and I got into doing adventure racing. I got into going skiing, and I got into going black diamond skiing. Just the sky's the limit. I love this. Snorkel. Yes. I love the mountain bike. And if I don't have some kind of blood coming out of my body at some point during the week, then I wasn't pushing it hard enough.
I would say I would look forward to every Monday morning meeting to learn what Darrell had done the prior weekend and survived, put it that way. So talk to me about your passion for optical vision, specifically OGP, and what the acquisition of inspection technologies really means for not only you, but the company.
Working for Certified Comparator Products, well, it had been over 20 years ago. I had seen for the very first time three-dimensional metrology on a vision system, OGP Smart Scope.
Okay.
And I was immediately taken to that type of equipment, and I wanted to learn more about it, and I wanted to be the guy that calibrated and serviced that equipment. Fast forward to today, I've been working on this equipment for a long time. I would say OGP probably wasn't happy about it, but they couldn't stop me. I was just too passionate about their product line. I met with Greg Hyden, Inspection Technologies. We finally got back together and just discussed about where he was at in his career. And he told me that he was looking to retire in maybe 2 years. Immediately sparked interest in me to say, hey, maybe there's a fit here, you know? Like I said, I'm very passionate about the OGP line. I think they are definitely on the forefront of non-contact metrology. They're such an innovator. They brought things to this type of metrology that nobody else has ever dreamt of. I don't know where they get this technology from, but it comes from a skunk work somewhere in that facility.
Some layman talked about some of the different products. If I'm unfamiliar with OGP, what do they sell?
Well, initially OGP started off by manufacturing optical comparators, which is basically, it's a light source, a series of lenses that's projected up onto a frosted screen. Like I said, they pioneered the concept of edge detection. So they had developed the very first edge detection system for an optical comparator. Fast forward to today, they pioneered camera measurement. So now they have these three-dimensional systems that work in an XYZ axis. They have high-resolution cameras. And they've taken it beyond that, Dennis. They went from there, not just the camera, but they incorporated zoom lenses that are self-calibrating zoom lenses. They've incorporated lasers, and they have three types of lasers. They have an off-axis laser, they have a through-the-lens laser, and they have this amazing laser system they put on their higher-end systems called a Telestar laser that is able to reach deep down into very narrow pockets on components that nobody else could do.
Wow.
And make amazing z-axis measurements. The lasers are also able to do surface scans on components, meaning it could look at a part and it could trace the surface of a part to get profiles.
Okay.
And that's very important for companies that are doing very accurate stampings or other types of surface measurements that you can't do with just a touch probe and or edge detection. At some of the other technologies that they've incorporated were obviously touch probes, scanning probes. They have an amazing technology called a feather probe. A feather probe is a type of touch probe that really, I'm not sure if it really touches, but it vibrates at a resonant frequency. And when it comes close enough to an object, it actually changes that resonant frequency on a very small probe, enough for it to sense where that object is. And they called it a feather probe because they were actually able to measure a feather with this probe.
Unbelievable.
So they have one other technology called a rainbow probe that could go on these systems. It's actually able to look at the surface of the component, and it's typically used in areas where you have a clear or opaque plastic or a shiny part that's really hard for a camera to see. But it uses a type of light, and it uses a technology that looks at the different light bandwidths, and it's able to do a topographical measurement on the part based on that technology. And what's new is OGP has finally created a system that nobody else has. It's called a fusion. So it's the fusion of a large field of view video system, but also incorporates a very high magnification camera system as well, and lens system.
Okay.
So it's a very unique offering that OGP has and nobody else has, all in one system. It also allows you to have on-axis laser and on-axis touch probe on the very same system.
How did you get into the calibration industry?
I joined the Marine Corps and I was good at what I did, and I just got really, really lucky. I was in the right place at the right time.
All right, good. What's your favorite thing about what you do?
Serving a customer. I really, really love working with customers and making their equipment work really good, because I always walk out a hero.
Okay. Nice. What's your least favorite thing about what you do?
When customers try to repair their own equipment,
Yeah.
it's a nightmare.
Yeah. If you could give a newcomer to the industry at any level one piece of advice, what would it be?
Invest in yourself. Don't rely on your employer to teach you everything you need to know. You need to invest in yourself, and that makes you valuable.
What brings you fulfillment in your role?
In my role, just building this company and knowing that there's going to be something left behind for my employees. That really brings me fulfillment.
What's something that you take pride in your job?
Making stuff work.
Nice. In closing, just want to say it's been awesome working with you. Looking forward to all the growth. You continuing to merge the two companies. Anything else you want to add in closing?
I just want to thank the whole team at Brechbuhler for helping ICS grow. The whole team, the future is very, very bright, and you as a company have really supported me, and the whole company ICS. You really supported all of this effort, and I think we have a bright future together. It's going to be huge. So the sky's the limit.